to make use of Figma, all you got to do is to, for those of you that don't have Figma yet, all you got to do is just to go to your Google and search for Figma. Search for figma.com. Oh, it's going to pop up my own account, so it's because I'm signed in already, so that's why it's popping up. So all you got to do is just go to Figma, create an account, and you should have something popping up showing like this. So you should have something showing like this. So when you have something showing like this, all you got to do next is to create your workspace. Now, how do I create a workspace? So Figma has a free version for everybody. So all I got to do is to locate where I have my design icon. So there, this is where you have all your documents on Figma. This is where you have all your documents on Figma. And to your left hand, as your left hand side, this is where you have some folders. So folders for all your projects. You can actually see all your projects. Now, if you work as a team, you can see all the team in which you work with. So this is where you have your resources, but resources are actually meant for professional use. So which means you need to upgrade your Figma account, but nevertheless you don't need to do that if it's necessary. So here you have all your drafts. So all these drafts are not saved on any team option, but they are basically in your document. So it's just like you are having your normal Microsoft Word document in your system file, not online or not shared with anyone. So everything is just right here sitting. So you can actually get your recent file. You can get resources from the community. I do use the resources so much. So all you got to do, for instance, if you are looking for, let's say you are looking for a business card, or maybe you are a UI UX designer, you're looking for a particular interface, all you got to do is just come here and search for, let's say, music app. So you will see a lot of music app interface, which you can actually use the idea to come up with something. You can use that design to come up with your own idea and refine your idea or make it better. So the resource, the community is a place where people upload, where people publish their projects. So for instance, when we are done designing, we can actually publish our projects on Figma. So here you have your trash, which is here, your deleted files. So which takes some months, some days to get deleted, but my are still here. 3 years ago file are still here, like that. So now to continue, all we got to do is to create a workspace. Now, how do I create a workspace? I'm going to locate where I have my design file. We have, so now in Figma you have some workspace, some workspace interface. For instance, you are creating normal design, you're creating your flyer, you're creating your UI, your UI UX. That's your low fidelity, your high fidelity or low fidelity. You can actually use the design option. But if you are creating something called information architecture or your workflow, you can use FigJam. If you are creating a slide, I created those slides using Figma slides and some other things like that. So I'm going to click on this. This is what we want to make use of. Then you allow it to load. Let's talk about what the interface of Figma looks like. Now I'm going to explain the components here on Figma. So to the left hand side you have the cabinets. This is the left hand side, you have the cabinets. So here you have pages. This is where you can actually add pages to your documents, to your project. Now you can add as many page of your choice, but mind you, if you're working as a team, you might not be able to do that because the free version allows just 3 pages when working as a team, which means, so what I do is, before I add any designer to my project, I first of all create like 10 pages, then I share, and thereby we have these 10 pages in our project. It's just the cheat I use when working on a team project. So but if you're not working on a team project, you can actually open a lot of pages and it saves in your draft. So here you have the cabinet where you have your file, where you have your assets. Now this asset works like this. Let's take for instance, you've saved some icons, you saved some design system. You can actually get them in your assets. So here you can actually rename your file. Let's rename this file to sound circle app. So here we have that. All right, so that's that on that. So here you have the menu bar where you can actually create a new tab. Sorry, this is not how it looks like if you're using the desktop version. The desktop version has a tab where you can actually edit your, this is it, right? So you can undo, you can cut, copy and paste anything you want to do. You have your view, you can actually transform your workspace if you want to. You have history, things like that. So now that's for the left hand side. So if you want to close this particular cabinet, you can actually do that by closing this. Then it closes. Then if you click on it back, it comes up. As you can see, my file is on draft and it's a free option I'm using. So this middle part, this is the canvas, this is your workspace, this is where everything happens. As you can see, it's just blank. Why is it blank? It's like an ocean. So I used to say my canvas is an ocean. So all I got to do is to create something inside this ocean. So now how do I create something inside this ocean? It's like you're having your Photoshop. Whenever you want to create your Photoshop, you're making your design on Photoshop, you need a workspace, you need an artboard. So likewise here, you need an artboard. So this is an ocean in which we need a land to build on. So the land to build on is called the artboard here, or your canvas. So we're going to do that. I'm just trying to explain the interface. So to the right hand side, this is where you have all your controls. So this is where you can actually pick your text, you can pick your colors, you can adjust, you can create a lot of things on the right hand side. So likewise, you can share your file. Maybe you want someone to collaborate with you, you can share your file, and Figma allows for collaboration. That's that on that. So now how do you create your artboard? Should I call it artboard? But here we call it frames. So we're going to be looking at frame versus shapes. Frame versus shapes. So now to do that, I'm going to, down here you have the tools. Here you have the tools. The same thing happens in your Photoshop where you have your toolbox, you have your pick tool, you have your eraser tool, you have your brushes, you have your text tool, just like that. So the same thing applies on Figma. Here you have tools that are enough for you to work on your projects. So here you have your move tool, you have your hand tool, you have your scale. Here you have your frame. Remember I talked about frame. So here you have your frame, you have your section, you have your slice. Here you have your shape tool. Shape tool. This is shape tool where you can actually create a rectangle, you can create a line, you can create an arrow, is circle, polygon, blah blah, just like that. You can bring in a picture, you can bring in a video. But if you are using a free version, you cannot bring in a video. Kindly note that if you are using a free version, you cannot bring in a video. So that's just that. So here you have your pen tool. You can actually use your pen tool to create anything you want, shapes of your choice, random shape of your choice. That's that. So you have different kinds of pen tool. So you have your text tool. You can use your text tool to create a text. When I mean the text, you can actually use it to create just a very simple text or whichever text you want. So you have your comments. So the comments tool is here for us to, for instance, if you are collaborating or you work in a company and people want to make comments on your work, they want to give you feedback. So the comment option is actually there for you to make comments. All you got to do is just to give them access to the project. All you got to do is just come here and make comments. So if I just say this is not needed for the project, kindly take it out. So it means, as you can see, so notify me. So when anybody drops a comment, it's you can actually get notified. So that's how it works for the comments. So here you have some other tools. Maybe you want to add your plugins, your assets. So we're going to be looking at how to do that in no time. So that's what the interface looks like on Figma. So it's very simple to work with and very simple to deal with. It's not sophisticated. So I believe you can actually understand what Figma can actually do for you, and the tools and the panels available here. So that's that on that. Now let's talk about how can you create a frame. So you have the shortcuts to do that. You have your F on your keyboard to do that. You're using Mac, you're using a Windows system, it doesn't matter. You have the F. But if you don't want to use the shortcut, all you got to do is just to come down here. You see the frame option, you click on frame. So remember, whichever tool you click on, it brings the property. Whichever tool you're on, it brings the property. So if I click on frame, it brings this option. It's saying, do I want to create a phone frame, or I want to create a tablet frame, or I want to create a desktop frame, I want to create a presentation frame 16:9, or you're working on a watch design, whichever one, or you're working on a paper design, A4, A5, blah blah blah, or for social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, blah blah, and things like that. So or you want to work on a particular cover for the community, you can actually come here and choose the particular frame. So I'm going to choose anyone. I'm going to choose A4. So I choose A4, it creates A4. So if I say give me A5, it gives me A5. If I say give me mobile, let's say iPhone 16, it gives me iPhone 16. iPhone 16, where are you? So this is iPhone 16. If I say give me a tablet, it gives me that. If I say okay, let's say presentation, so you can actually see this is how it creates its own. That's by choosing the default frame options. Likewise, you can create your own frame if you want to. All you got to do is just to click on the frame, then you draw. Click on your frame, then you draw. That's how simple it is. So you click on your frame, then you draw. So I'm going to delete this. We don't need this again. So now that's that on how to create a frame using Figma. So now remember, a frame is a container. It houses every of your design elements. Remember, we talked about some design elements: your color, your shape, your typography, your images. So these are called graphics elements, the basic graphics element. It means anything I'm doing, I want to export later. I want to export that particular creative. I have to do it within within this frame. It's like this is let's take for instance, this is Lagos. Let me use my finger. Let's take for instance, this is Lagos, and I have a piece of land. This is Nigeria. And I have a piece of land. Remember, if I have a piece of land, I cannot build outside this frame. I have to build within this frame. So it means anything I'm doing has to be within this particular frame. Hope you understand. It has to be within this particular frame. So it means my shapes, my text, everything I'm doing has to be within this particular frame. Hope you understand. Let's take for instance, we have our text, we have a shape. Let's give it something cool. Okay, let's have this. Let's bring in an image. Okay, let me just copy this, drop it here, paste here. As you can see, it can't go outside, except I do what? I bring it outside. Did you get that? Get how it works? So you have to be very, very sure and observant when you're creating this. So if I move this guy anywhere, every element inside goes with it, and that's why the frame is called the container. Do you understand? That's why the frame is called the container. So now let's talk about shape. Now that's for frame. Now let's talk about shape. Now a shape, for instance, let's say I have a shape of A4 size. Let's say I have a shape of A4 size, and I try to put everything on it. Let me copy and paste. But there's a way you can actually do that if you're using your Mac. I mean, you're using your PC. All you got to do is just to click on your Alt. If you're using Windows, click on Alt. If you're using Mac, you click on Option. So now I'm trying to put this guy inside. Now the difference between a frame and a shape is, for a frame, everything placed on it goes with the shape wherever, I mean, goes with the frame wherever you drag it to. But for a shape, you see, it's like you're pouring water at the back of your pot. Doesn't go inside, except you group. Do you understand? But for a frame, it doesn't work like that. It's just automatic. So that's what a frame is. So now, like I said, the shortcut for a frame is F. Just F for the frame. If I click on, if I press F on my keyboard, then I can actually create a frame. All right, thank you. That's that. So I'm going to delete this. Then we have this. So now that's that for that. Remember, I said we don't just have one particular shape. We have some other shapes. You have circle. So yeah, if you want to get the perfect circle, all you got to do is just to hold on your shift, then you draw your shape. The same thing applies to a rectangle. Hold your shift, then you draw your shape. That's for that. We have some other ones there you can actually explore on your own. You can actually explore on your own. So that's that on that. So now let's talk about the typography. Typography are what? Are text, right? So now how can you download, how can you get font to your PC? How can you get font to your PC? So to do that, you can actually use the Google option. Google Font is available for anybody to use. You can type Google Font. So Google Font is free. So whichever font you want, you can actually get it from there, be it for your Mac, be it for your PC, for your Windows. So you can actually get, remember we talked about kinds of fonts yesterday. So you can actually get any kind of font you want, then you download for the use of your design. You see, we have the sans serif category, we have the serif category, we have calligraphy category, we have appearance category, space, blah blah. We have for technology, remember we are doing something around that. We have seasonal, we have just like that. So aside this, so how do you do this? All you got to do is, okay, let's say I want to install one Tekino. So this is a Tekino font. So if you like it, you can actually click on it. It opens. So you see get font. You can click on it. The name of the font is Orbitron. I think I have this font. So you can actually click on it. You can see it has just one doesn't have a family. So we have some fonts that they have some other ones, like they have bold, extra bold. It's a family font, so you can actually use that. I love using fonts like that. It helps me when I'm doing my creative. So for instance, you can just download this one. So it's going to save, then you click OK, then you try to open it. Sorry. Okay, so you open your file, then you install. That's how it works. So I already have it, that's why it's saying replace file, so I don't need to replace the file. So you can, that's how you download and install a font on your PC. Do you understand? All right, so back to Figma. So now, how do we understand how font works? Because font, it's one of the major issue when it comes to design. Most designers, most new designers doesn't really know how to make use of fonts. Someone is asking, are there other websites? Yes, there are other websites, but most of them might not be free. So you have fonts. So all you got to do is just type free fonts download. So you see a lot of website popping up. So that font has a lot of fonts which are free. Most of that, in fact, most of that fonts are free. So you can actually come here to, all you got to do is just to download it, and it's saved on your PC. So you see it saves on your PC. So you have a lot of websites you can actually download fonts. So try to play around fonts. When you play around font, it gives your design, a nice feel. So any other question on how you can actually download and install fonts? I guess no. Okay, now let's continue. So I was talking about understanding typography and text too. Now I'm going to use a particular font that has, okay, for instance, the default Figma font in Inter has its family. So now I haven't typed this, and I come to it, brings the property for my font. So I can actually see the family. Remember I talked about the family the other time. So now some fonts have variation of the width. When I mean width, I mean bold, like bold, italics, light, extra light and things like that. So like this particular font, Inter, it adds that feature. So like it has thin. So sorry, I just did something. I think that so fast. So all I did was to hold my alt. I'm using a Mac. I held my option key, then I drag down. Then I use my Ctrl D to duplicate. So it gives me more options. Hope you understand. So that's how the shortcut works. Okay, so back to this. All right, so I want to change the variation of this particular font. This is thin. I want this to be extra light. I want this to be light. I want this to be regular. I want this to be medium. I want this to be extra bold. Okay, I want this to be bold. I want this to be extra bold, then with black, semi bold, bold, extra bold, then black. Then I'm going to duplicate this, the same shortcut I used. Hold your alt key on your keyboard, then you drag your be it your shape or whichever option. So I'm going to use the italics option, thin italics, extra italics, light italics, light italics. You have your italics itself, that's the regular one. We have the medium, we have the semi bold, we have the bold itself, we have the extra bold, then we have the black bold. So these are the variation of typography, a font choice of my own. So I can decide to change these fonts to something else. Let's say I come to my font, you can see typography here. So this is for your typography where you can change. This is where you can change the variation. This is where you can change the size of the typography. This is where this is like also like the line width. The line height. When I mean line height, I'm talking about the spacing between each text. So if I say, so the spacing between each text, if I say this should be like 200, you can see. So it gives me that feature. If I want the text to have spacing in between, you can see. So but I want it at 0, so everything can, okay, let me just say 20, so you can see. So that's that on that. If you want everything centralized, if you want everything to be aligned to the middle, to the bottom, to the top, if you want to change the color, you can actually change the color to something of your choice. So that's that. So let's say I want to change this to something else, a font I love using. Again, I love using this cabinet. Now if you check this font, now the reason everything is changing to what it is because cabinet 2 has that particular kind of variation. You understand? It has that kind of variation, like tiny, thin, light, blah blah blah. So you can actually do that. I love another one again. See, I love this font. So let's play with another one again. Let's check through some serif fonts. Some serif fonts. Most serif font doesn't really have tiny blah blah blah. I like this one. This is not bad. If you like this one, thumbs up. I like this one. So we have some other fonts in which we can use to, so that's how it looks like. That's how you need that's what you need to know when it comes to sizing, when it comes to the width, that's the regular, that's the bold and unbold, blah blah blah, align to the left, align to the right, and things like that. So now that's for typography. Now let's move down to plugins. Plugins are very, very important when you're creating your maybe you're doing your UI UX, or you're making your design. You will need plugins. Now in plugins, what do you use plugins for? So plugins are like third-party tool that help your work. Someone is asking, is it paid? No, this is, yeah, you have the paid option, but we are using the free option. So you can actually use the free option. You don't need to pay. You understand? So now, at least for now, we are using the free option. So now I was talking about plugin. The plugins helps you to refine your work. It helps you to not to go outside Figma when you're creating your design. For instance, I want to get for instance icons. All I got to do is I use Command P. If you're using a Windows system, just press Ctrl P, like for print, the regular thing for print. But if you use the option Command P, it pops up this dialog. So you have all assets, plugin, and with Jet. So all I got to do is to look for a plugin called Iconify. I'm not even know Iconify. So some people use flat icons. See, you have flat icons. So but I use Iconify for my own. So if you've done your search, all you got to do, you'll see the save option. All you got to do is just click on your save. Okay, let's see this one. You see this is Iconify icons. All I got to do is to click on save. So if I click on save, it saves on my system, on my Figma software. So if I click on this one, Iconify, so Iconify gives you a free icon option, and they are all vector. Remember we talked about vector. Vector files are files that are editable. So let's say I'm searching for house. So I can come here, I'll see different kinds of houses. Then let's say I drag this one in. Let me zoom. So I can change the color to whichever color I want. So instead of you on Photoshop, you now start using your blending option to change the color. All you got to do is just to come here and do something. So whichever one, let's say Facebook. Facebook, so you can change the color to whichever color you want. See, maybe red or blue, whichever color you want. So just like that, let's say Instagram, so you can change it to whichever color you want. I believe you understand what I'm saying. So let me align it. All right, so you can change it to whichever color you want. Okay, so that's that on that. Hope you understand. So that's for Iconify. So let's say you want to get pictures, pictures to your project, and you don't want to go outside Figma. You can still use plugin for that. Let's say you want to use Free Pick. How many of us know Free Pick? Okay, Free Pick. So let's see Free Pick. Let's see this. Let me run it and see how it looks like. Understand now. And if you don't want to use the shortcut, all you got to do is to come down to this place to where you have your toolbox, so you can see the plugin option. If you don't want to use the Control P, so you can see, just click here, then you see the plugin options. Let's say you want to get in pictures to your frame, then you search for Pixabay or Pixels, Free Pick, Pixels, all those Shutterstock and things like that. Now let's search for headset. So like I said, instead of you going out of Figma, you can actually work here. You understand? You can actually work here. So I like this. All you got to do is to click on it. Oh, sorry. Just click on it and it comes to your workspace. So as you can see, you can reduce it. So I like this one. Oh, it changed it. I was supposed to click outside, yes. Then you can reduce it from the edge by holding your shift, or you press K. If you press K on your keyboard, it brings up this option, this scale option. So if you press K on your keyboard, it brings up these scale options. It enables you to scale without pressing without using your shift option. So that's that for that. Let's say we want to make a mockup. I'm still going to go to my action button, then I search for, let's say I search for mockup. So I use this plugin a lot, mockup plugin. I click on it, then I wait. It connected to my network. Oh, what's it saying? Okay, blah blah blah. I don't know this. So you can actually create a mock-up of your choice, whichever thing you want. This is for packaging. See, all I got to do is just to click on my artboard and it comes down. So you're doing a cup design. So you see, so you can actually put your design here. Do you understand? So that's how it works. So we have a lot of mockups like that. So let's check another one. I'm going to click here. I use clay mockup while working on UI UX. So you can actually use clay mockup. So you can see, so you can actually you can change the model of what you're doing. You can change the color. So, and also you can save it to your workspace to be used in your design. So plugins helps us to it gives us that feeling of not going outside of outside of Figma when creating a design or creating a particular project. Hope you understand.